Hello and welcome to a new episode of Silly Point. Continuing with our IPL theme, we are going to focus on the four teams that failed to make it to the playoff stages, on what didn't work for them, why they couldn't make it, and what they can do next year to become better.
Yeah.
I think the one thing I'd say before we start, firstly, I want Gaurav here to give his expert insight, is all of them were one or maximum two wins away from being second or third in the table. So it was very, very close. It was the closest IPL we've had in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Where the bottom team, if they won one more game, they would have been in the top four. So let's start, and let's start from the bottom by net run rate. Rajasthan Royals.
My pick as the I was pretty sure that they're going to finish last.
Yeah, I missed it by 0.125 of net run rate. I've had CSK.
But no, to be fair, I don't think I gave them enough credit when I made that prediction.
Yeah.
I made it on the basis that they had they seem to have a lopsided team, which kind of was true. They had too many leg spinners in their squad. They didn't have enough middle order Indian players at least. So that bit came true. But what I must say, and what probably is the best thing about this franchise going forward, is the strength of their overseas players.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
I think individually, their four overseas players are the best that you can pick in the IPL. Joss Butler, Ben Stokes, Steve Smith, and Jofra Archer. I don't think you could have a better set of overseas players.
Yeah, true. And you've got some very good domestic players. Tavatia, we spoke about in our last episode. He's been a
True.
revelation, very good lower order player for them.
Yeah, true.
Samson has been inconsistent, but he started off really well.
Yeah, won them two games.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
off his own bat. Yeah, but again, apart from that, not much. Not much to make note of. And this is where I think Rajasthan need to get better. I think I mentioned this a few times. What the hell were they smoking, eating, drinking when they decided to firstly, open the batting with Steve Smith, then move him down into the middle order. Robin Uthappa, who's an opener by trade in the IPL, he was batting 4-5, right? As soon as Ben Stokes came in, Ben Stokes was tried as an opener. Joss Butler, who should be opening every single game, no matter what, was dropped to number 5. What was going on?
I don't know what they were thinking, what the management thought process was. I'm not a big fan of IPL teams going too aggressive on their top three, like they did, with Butler, Smith, Stokes. I mean, you probably would have had one of them, and ideally Stokes, lower down, and that showed. Stokes, he didn't have a very good start. He obviously got 100 in one of the games towards the end of it, but it was too late, I think.
I mean, Stokes' overall batting record this IPL is really good. Average of 40 and strike rate of 150.
But that was two good innings, right? That's
two good innings.
Yeah.
That doesn't mask the fact that the Rajasthan Royals management made a big mess of it.
I agree.
In my opinion, Joss Butler, any team that he bats, he needs to open. Any team that he plays for, he should be opening. So it should have always been Butler and Robin Uthappa to open, with Samson at 3, Smith at 4, and Stokes at 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself is such a formidable lineup. And if Tewatia came good this IPL, just imagine that kind of lineup with Tewatia at 6, 7. Yeah. That's perfect.
Exactly. That would have been good. I mean, the party to blame also, just to finish off on them, is Steve Smith. You mentioned him as being one of the best players in the world, no doubt. But him being captain has also hindered them a little bit, because if you're an overseas captain, then this means that if you're out of form, which Smith was for a while in the beginning of the IPL, you can't drop him.
True.
And that's not helped them. So if they had maybe Uthappa or someone, a local captain, they would have had more flexibility. So maybe next year that's the thing to improve. Maybe have a captaincy change. And just have some more balance. We've mentioned Tyagi as a good prospect. So maybe some more domestic Indian bowling options would be
pretty much. I mean, from my perspective, there are 3 things that they need to work on. Fix the batting order. Simple to do. Really simple to do. And definitely pick some good Indian pacers. There are many going around. So definitely have some experience in there. And please let Jaydev Unadkat and Varun Aaron go. And the other thing is, they've got so many overseas fast bowlers. They need to drop a few. They had 4. I mentioned this before. They had 4, right? So they need to drop a few. They had Andrew Tye, they had O'Shane Thomas, they had Jofra Archer, and they had Tom Curran. That's too
There's
many.
No point. Yeah.
There's no
and
point.
Tom Curran started playing, but he only played till Stokes, was just filling
Exactly.
Stokes' spot, right? And then obviously Stokes is also a fast bowling option, so there are too many.
Yeah, and I would say also pick some other Indian domestic spinners, of the other variety, off spin and left arm. Not only stack your team with 5-6 leg spinners. Pick some other players. So I think those are the few things that they need to fix going into next season. And I don't see why they can't, push to the playoffs next season. That should be the minimum goal for a team like Rajasthan.
I agree, especially with that firepower in the squad.
Yeah.
Should we move on to CSK?
Yeah.
A team which everybody, I think, was expecting to carry on with their legacy of making it to the playoffs. I was the only one who called it the Dad's Army. It's been a disappointing thing. They started off well. They won the first game, and everyone was like, okay, they might do it again.
Yeah.
Obviously, not helped by the injuries to Raina and Harbhajan Singh, and well, not injuries, but them not playing. And then obviously Ambati Reddy got injured, and so they've had that issue. But apart from that, I think their team, even on paper, was just not good enough. I think someone like Sam Curran or Faf who've had decent IPLs have kind of papered over the cracks.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, they've just not been good enough, and just missed the bottom spot on net run rate because they ended pretty well. They won their last couple of games.
Yeah.
But again, that's just that doesn't really show how poor they've been this year, and that's kind of just papered over the cracks. I think it's
so some building blocks are there. They have some really good building blocks going into next season. So Ruturaj Gaikwad as an Indian opener has done really well. The last three games he played, 350s on the trot. Sam Curran has been an absolute revelation. Bat, ball, field, looks, everything. Faf du Plessis he's always been good. No matter what team Faf plays for, he's been fine. And his fielding has been top notch.
Amazing, yeah.
In my opinion, he's been the best fielder of the IPL.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the other good thing is Ravindra Jadeja taking over the kind of the finishing role from MS Dhoni. That's kind of a big thing as well. So those are the few things that have been really good for CSK. So that bodes well for them going forward. What they need to fix, everything else. Can't say anything more than that. They just need to fix everything else. They need to pick a new core, a new core set of players, much younger, a mix of overseas and domestic Indian players, and they just have to do that.
Yeah, I think Watson retiring is going to be a blessing in disguise for them. It just gives them options to go with someone younger, and kind of build their team around that. Dhoni, the biggest question mark, what's going to happen to him? I think he wants to stick around for one more year. And it's going to be, and that's the problem, right? I mean, can you really drop Dhoni if he wants to play? You can't if he's available, then you can't drop him from the 11, right?
Yeah. I mean, anyways, the CSK management have said that if Dhoni can play up to 2022 and he can be captain. So they've literally left it, up to Dhoni. And I don't mind, right?
Yeah.
So MS Dhoni, the batsman, has had one poor IPL season this year as a batsman, just one. And as a captain as well, you could say he's had one poor IPL season. Before that, from 2008 to 2019, he's had a phenomenal time at the IPL.
Yeah.
So I would give him another season, but definitely have other players around him to support him. He can be captain. He can keep, he can still bat at 4-5.
Yeah, but I think he should bat top. He should bat in the top 4 maximum. That's it.
Top 4.
And play his natural game.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be the finisher anymore. That role should be taken over by someone like Sam Curran or Jadeja.
Yeah.
And he should play as a pure batsman.
It's already happened this IPL. So batting at 4 is perfect for him.
And then should we move on to Kings 11?
Yeah, Kings. I mean,
unluckiest team this year.
I would certainly say. I mean, if you go back to the first game, right?
Yeah.
The first game that they played against Delhi, that one run shot that was called by the umpire.
Yeah.
They would have won that game, and they would have been, they would have been in the.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, that one game that could have changed the remaining results as well, and this and that. But yeah, it's easier to look at it in hindsight and be like, that was the
Yeah.
the occasion. But but after that, they just kept losing. I think they lost the first 3 or 4 games,
Yeah.
and then they were just playing catch up. And then it's
Yeah.
only when Chris Gayle came back.
Yeah.
And to be honest, out of all these teams that we're discussing today, if this Kings 11, they're the toughest to assess and see where they can improve, because they've been so good in a lot of things. Their opening
True.
batting has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Decent pace bowlers. We've mentioned Arshdeep and Shami have been good.
Yeah.
Bishnoi, a very good spin option. I think.
Murugan Ashwin has been good. I mean, that's I was going to say that in terms of the positives, their bowling has come together,
Yeah.
and Mayank Agarwal has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And Puran has been Nicholas Puran. Just he's got the freedom to go out there and just hit the ball, which is what he's done. That reflects in his strike rate and his middle overs batting. So they've got so many positives. It's difficult for them to see what more improvements they can make.
Drop Glenn Maxwell and spend his money on getting like 7 new young players.
Yeah, true. or get a very good, get a very good finisher, and please get a few more all-rounders, right? Because if you think about it, for majority of the time, Chris Jordan was batting at number 7.
Yeah, true.
And that's not good enough. James Neesham also didn't do much. He got few opportunities, but didn't do much. So I do think they need a good player at number 7. At number 6, 7, who can bat a bit. Chris Jordan is certainly not that kind of player.
Yeah, I think if Gayle can carry on for one more season, I think that top 3 should pick itself and start, and then with Puran at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And then a domestic option in the middle order. But overall, not much more we can say about them.
Exactly.
Maybe get a good overseas fast bowler.
Yeah.
Sheldon Cottrell wasn't, he started well, but then wasn't quite up to it.
So yeah, I mean, I would literally there are 4 things that they can do. More overseas support in the bowling for Cottrell and Jordan. Drop Maxwell and pick more all-rounders. It could be an Indian all-rounder, could be an overseas all-rounder. KL should bat more aggressively.
Yeah, I think his comments earlier on about strike rate not being important, I think he needs to. I don't know. Maybe he was taking a lead from his Indian captain.
Exactly. Stop talking, and focus on playing. Focus on winning your team. Winning games for your team.
Yeah. In terms of his own personal performance, he's been pretty good, phenomenal actually. But his strike rate could improve.
True.
And then should we move on to the team that you had to win?
Well, I mean,
the biggest disappointment.
Was the team. Yeah, KKR was the team I expected to go on and win the IPL. But then, if our fans, our audience has looked at the previous episode that we've done, where we've talked about the biggest the flops of the season. I've picked 6, 7. We've picked 6, 7 KKR players. So it's really odd. I mean, honestly, like not much. Not many positives. I don't know if you can think of a few. I mean, I can only think of 2, literally 2 positives.
I mean, we discussed obviously Chakravarti as a good spinning option. I mean, Morgan, I think he needs to, have a consistent batting position, maybe a number 3 maximum. He has played well, probably the only kind of half decent performance in the batting.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I literally had 2 positives: Morgan's batting and Varun Chakravarti's bowling, and literally that's it. It's KKR is such a team; it's so clear cut. This is what is good and this is what is bad.
Yeah. But I think that the problem is they can't. How do they fix these things that are bad, right? Because I mean,
it's easy.
They're struggling with the big player syndrome, similar to the Maxwell issue. They can't drop Russell or Narayan or Cummins.
I agree.
It's very difficult to drop those, and then if they start losing it, people will be like, "Well, you've dropped your 3 biggest names. Obviously, you're going to lose."
But what they can do is they can get some players to support them, right? So think what happened this year. Narayan didn't play because he had a suspect action, and then Russell got injured, right? So basically, KKR had no all-rounders to play. They couldn't play anyone who could bat and bowl, right? So obviously they need some more support in that area. They need to pick more all-rounders, whether it's most likely overseas all-rounders, to support Russell and Narayan. So if they ever they're not performing, they need to be dropped, injury, whatever, they can readily pick a player. And then the other thing they need to do is they need to pick more Indian fast bowlers or better Indian fast bowlers than the ones they already have. So I think
I
that's
think
easy to
they
do.
can, I think, and the one thing they can easily do is they can look at someone like an MI, because I think if you look at their top 4 5 batting order,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
very similar to MI, where they've got someone like Russell or Narayan who are good lower order hitters,
yeah,
and then Morgan is a good mid order batsman,
yeah,
and then in the top order, okay, Gill has been decent in terms of runs but not strike rate.
yeah,
So they can do what MI do, and they can just have Russell and Narayan as the finishers, like MI have for Hardik and Pollard.
yeah.
I think that there were too many times where they were just caught in this thinking of how Dinesh Karthik, Morgan, Russell, all of them cannot bat in the top four. You need to
True.
have, sometimes Karthik's coming at 7, sometimes he's coming at 3, sometimes he's coming at 4.
Yeah,
So it doesn't really make sense. So they need to have a more
yeah.
structured approach. I
I'm
know
I'm
team tends to be
personally I'm
flexible.
personally I'm all for going flexible with someone like Sunil Narayan,
Yeah,
right? But everyone around him needs to have a consistent role. Like I when we talked about a preview for KKR, I did say that I would like to see Morgan bat at 3 and Russell bat at 4, but that didn't even happen once,
yeah,
not even once, which is ridiculous.
yeah,
And then you could get Sunil Narayan to float,
yeah,
right? If you want Sunil Narayan to bat against the spinners, then make him bat as soon as a wicket falls in the after the power play. Send
yeah,
Narayan in. That's fine.
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I feel that probably KKR are one of those teams where what they have to fix is simple.
Yeah,
What they've done well is really clear. What they haven't done well is really clear,
yeah,
and what they have to fix is simple, as compared to the other teams. Like if you think about CSK, if there's no mega auction this year, it's going to be very difficult for them
yeah,
to overhaul the
yeah.
whole team, right? Whereas KKR, yes, okay, you pick 2 or 3 players and you can really plug the gaps.
Yeah, and if you have Russell and Narayan fit for the whole season and they're playing to their potential, then they can easily blow away any team, right? So
Exactly.
that's the benefit.
Next year, fingers crossed. Next year.
And hopefully Shubman Gill can take a few batting lessons from someone like Agarwal and how to
Yeah. Or
take his game to
Ishan
the next.
Kishan.
Yeah. Well, the one thing we haven't discussed about KKR is that captaincy circus that they had.
Yeah.
Again, it's surprising that they actually took captaincy away from a domestic player to a foreign player.
Yeah.
I know it's difficult for Morgan not to be captain given he's a World Cup winning captain, but having DK as captain just gives them that flexibility that if Morgan is not playing well, then they can replace him with another
True.
all-round player.
But again, DK is one of those players that I would hope that IPL franchisees now decide that okay, we don't want a Dinesh
Yeah.
Karthik in the IPL, because the last couple of years he's been very, very ordinary.
Yeah.
He's been really lucky to get opportunities in the Indian team as well, and he's had those 1 or 2 superb performances followed by a string of mediocre performances, and I think it's high time. For me, he's in the same category as Umesh Yadav and Kedar Yadav. Shouldn't be playing the IPL.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
It's
so yeah,
probably
and
the
and
end of the.
Brendan and clearly Brendan McCullum loves Shubman Gill. Make
Yeah.
Shubman Gill captain then next season.
I think he's a bit maybe too young, but yeah, maybe Morgan for one more season when they can have the transition.
Yeah,
But yeah, they have decent options. Off the bench.
Yeah.
Banton is not a bad option. He's not played well this year, but
Yeah.
we meant.
Again, Banton, how many opportunities did he get? Very
Yeah.
difficult for him to settle down, right? If you give a
Yeah.
player, especially someone like Banton, who's young, who might not have had as much experience playing in the UAE,
Yeah.
he's played the PSL, yes. If Banton has to play and play well, he needs to be given consistent opportunities.
Yeah, and
Not
someone like
1 or 2
Lockie
games.
Ferguson, Ferguson
Yeah.
probably ahead of Cummins as well. So
Yeah. Lockie Ferguson ahead of Cummins.
yeah,
Obviously, and the other thing is you've got to decide, right? You can't say, okay, fine, I bought this player for 15 crores. I'm going to play him all 15 games. No,
yeah,
if he doesn't perform, you've got to
yeah,
take a stand and say, okay, fine, I'm going
yeah.
to make a change.
So that's our episode. Let us know what you think. Were we too harsh on these teams? Uh, the fact that they finished in the bottom four, hopefully not. But it's pretty clear what some of them need to do.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see them back next year. But again, we have to give the caveat that it was literally a matter of 1 or 2 wins, and
Yeah,
things could
because
be very different.
the last 3 teams were on 6 points. So their rankings were decided by
12
net
points.
run rate,
Yeah,
by net run rate. And then the next 3 teams as well,
on
right?
14.
Were all on the same points, again decided by
Yeah,
net run rate. So
exactly. So
incredible, very, very
yeah,
competitive.
some fine tuning, not a lot of restructuring, maybe for
Yeah,
CSK, but apart from that,
yeah.
um, so let us know what you think. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.